Alright, so today I want to tackle the discussion of bow fishing reels. And it's great right now because the sport of bow fishing is evolving, it's growing, and with that we have got a lot of options now. There's a lot of people making bow fishing equipment, bow fishing bows, bow fishing reels, arrows, you name it. It's really taken off, and that's great for us, the actual bow fishermen. And right now I get a lot of questions, or I see a lot of people talking about, well, which reel should I buy? And as you can see, I have just a few of the reels here that's out on the market. There's way more reels out on the market than just this. These reels right here are kind of your basic ones that most guys are going to buy at some point or another. Doesn't mean they're the best, doesn't mean they're the worst. It's just kind of your basic ones. So if you're new to the sport of bow fishing and you're asking that question, what is the best bow fishing reel? My answer to you is going to be the best bow fishing reel is going to be the one that best suits your needs. All right? So I know that doesn't answer the question, but what that means is when you're thinking about a bow fishing reel that you want to buy, you need to ask yourself some questions. And that is going to help you determine which one of these reels, or which reel in general, that you buy. Because every one of these reels is a great reel. I'm not going to sit here and bash any one of these, okay? Every single one of these has some things that it does very, very well. And every one of these has its downfalls, things that it maybe could be better at, or maybe that it just doesn't necessarily do by design, right? So with that said, you have to answer that question for yourself. And whatever reel it is that you choose, I don't think you can go wrong, you know, with any of these for sure. So with that said, let's get into those questions. What does each one of these reels do well? Which one of these reels maybe has things that it could do better? So I would like to start off with the AMS bottle reel. This reel here, honestly, this is kind of the tried and true standard. Almost everybody that starts and gets into bow fishing, this is the reel that most guys will start off with. This is the reel that I started off with, and I shot with it for several years. Put a lot of fish in the boat with it. So the AMS bottle reel starts off at around $110. This particular one right here, I believe, is the Pro Series. I think it has maybe some different internals in it, maybe a little bit better internals. I'm not 100% sure on that, to be honest with you. I didn't buy this particular reel. This one was given to me. The other standard reel comes with a blue bottle, but they're basically the same. The upgraded version, I believe, is about $135. So you're in the $110, $140 range to get into the AMS bottle reel. Now, with this reel, it comes with a built-in mounting system. It also, on that mounting system, has a quiver to hold your arrow with right here. So that's a lot of bang for your buck, okay? Because these other reels, or some of these other reels, you have to buy a reel seat in order to mount these to your bow. And so that's an added expense, but we'll get into that later. Right now, like I said, this guy right here is a self-contained, one-shot deal. You buy this reel, slam it on your bow, you're fishing, right? So that's awesome. Can't go wrong with that. The one thing about the AMS bottle reel is the line that it uses. All right, this is a braided, this is a 350-pound braided Spectra line. This is a lot different than the lines that these other reels have. These other spinner style reels, they have a lot smaller line, and when you hook into big fish and you're pulling that thinner line, you start cutting your hands up. You'll, by the end of the night, your hands can be hamburger. You know, if you get into a bunch of big fish and you're really fighting them, sometimes it's not a lot of fun. Where this line is thick enough that typically you don't have any problems with this. You know, you can grab onto this line and, you know, manage those fish into the boat without destroying your hands. So that's definitely a plus. The way this reel works is when you shoot the arrow out and the line comes out, there's this, this is a lever, and it kind of hangs down so that you can get a hold of pretty much anywhere in here. But you pull this, and that's how you reel the line in. That works through, when you pull this lever, there's wheels inside of here. There's wheels inside of here, and those wheels come together and cause friction on the line, and that's how it pulls the line in. And one thing that I want to note real quick here, if you're new to bow fishing and you're looking at one of these reels, something that I see almost every single person do that's never bow fished before is they'll put their arrow, they'll knock their arrow, you know, in the bow, and then they think they're done. Problem is, when you're waiting, you know, scanning the water looking for a fish, this line, if you don't do something with this line, it'll automatically, it's knotted up inside right at the moment. I'll talk about that in a minute. But at your bow sometimes is down, and this line will just start falling out. And before you know it, you're paying attention to fish, not what's going on here. And before you know it, all the line in your bottle will be hanging down in the water or on the boat or somewhere, and you got a mess going on, okay? The way to correct that is right here. There's a little notch right here in the body of the reel. Once you get your arrow knocked, if you pull a lever, take your line, it hooks right there. Now, that line can't come out of the bottle. Okay, so that little notch right there is super easy to miss if you don't know it's there. And so, like I said, if you're new to bow fishing and you do want to get this reel, just note that. Make sure that you put your line in there when you're fishing and before you've shot. So. Talked about some good things about this reel. It's got a lot of great benefits. Like I just showed you what just happened inside of this reel. When it pulls the line inside, all it does is just stuffs it down inside the bottle here. All right, and that works 87% of the time, maybe 90%. Okay. The other part of the time, you get what I have right now. It can create knots down inside here, especially once this line starts getting wet and it starts getting heavier. And as you keep reeling it down inside the bottle here with that extra water and the weight, it pushes down on the line on the inside of the bottle here. And then when you go to pull it out, it'll create a knot inside the reel. And as you can see, this one's knotted up right now. That wasn't by design for this video. That's just the way it was whenever the last person shot it. It was already knotted up. So that is one drawback that I have had with the AMS bottle reel. It is that right there. But let me tell you guys, the AMS has put world-class fish in the boat from a lot of people. So don't think that this isn't a good reel, this isn't a good system, because it absolutely is. And for the price point, man, you can't go wrong. For $100 to $140, you get the retriever system, you get the mounting system, you get an arrow rest, or I'm sorry, the arrow keeper, so that your arrow's not flopping all over. This is a lot of bang for your buck. Okay, so highly recommend the AMS bottle reel if you're just getting into fishing, or if you've been into fishing and you've had good luck, you've had good success. Man, don't try and fix something that ain't broke. If you're having good luck with this guy, keep running it. So yeah, that's the AMS bottle reel. So the next reel or reels that I want to talk about is the Muzzy reels. That is going to be these 3 reels right here. Okay, Muzzy has offered a combination of reels, and they're all very similar, but there's a few things with each one of these reels that is a little bit different, just again to give you the consumer options. Everybody has different needs and desires, and so Muzzy is doing that. I think Muzzy's doing a great job of really trying to dig in and provide the bow fisherman what he or she wants, and trying to push some boundaries, or just push some ideas, to give us good stuff. So let's set this one aside right for the moment, and let's talk about these 2 right here. These 2 reels are the Muzzy XD Pro. All right. Now the Muzzy XD Pro comes with, again, a built-in reel seat. The Muzzy XD Pro runs roughly $75. All right. This comes with, like I said, a built-in reel seat. It comes with 150-pound line, and like I said, this line is thinner than the braided line on the AMS Pro, and so this does cut your hands up. There's no doubt about it. It cuts your hands up pretty good. But with this thinner line, what I personally noticed when I went from shooting the AMS to shooting this, my arrows were faster. Especially when those arrows enter the water, I was shooting deeper into the water. That arrow was going through the water so much faster than with that thicker line. That thicker line, when it enters the water, if that fish is more than, a couple feet deep, that thicker line puts quite a bit of drag on your arrow, and you notice it. As where this line is so much thinner, you get a lot more arrow speed, especially at deeper water. Shooting a fish at deeper water, we're talking 4 or 5 foot deep. You're going to have a better chance of hitting those fish and actually puncturing them and putting them on the boat with this thinner line. Okay. So the other thing about the XD Pro that I like that they offer is they offer 2 different engagement methods here to engage the reel. This is your typical fishing reel style button. Push the button. This one doesn't have a line in it. Hang on. Hold, please. Alright, so push the button, line comes out. Spin the reel, right, Pretty typical setup for a fishing reel. Nothing wrong with that. They also offer this guy right here. This is just a lever. You just flip it left and flip it right. Left, line comes out. So when you're sitting there waiting to shoot a fish, you make sure that thing is pushed to the left. Shoot the fish. As soon as you shoot the fish, flip that over, and it starts reeling your line in. Guys, this is just a personal preference. I've got used to shooting this lever style, so I kind of prefer this one. I have a habit now of, as I'm sitting there waiting, a little nervous tick. My finger is constantly tapping on this thing to the left. You know what I'm saying? A little nervous tick there, making sure that when I see a fish, this thing is ready to go. Drawback: if it's not ready to go, if I'm getting late in the night, getting tired, and I forget to flip that, and it's to the right, and I go to shoot that arrow, sorry, got to engage the pickup pins. I go to shoot that arrow, bang, right? Chances are, one of two things is going to happen. If this thing is flipped over to the right, and I shoot my arrow, and that arrow comes flying out, it's either going to break this line, and my arrow is going to go sailing off into the water, and I'm going to lose my arrow. There goes 25 bucks, right? Or, on the inside, there's pickup pins that picks up the line. One of two things is going to happen to that pickup pin. Right there's that pickup pin. Okay? That pickup pin is either going to break, it'll break on the inside of here, or it will get pushed down, it'll get slammed all the way inside of here, and it will no longer work because the pickup pin won't be coming out the top or out the side here. It'll be actually down inside of the cylinder, and you'll have to disassemble the reel, which isn't that hard. Pop the cap off, spin that off just like that, and then you can get inside here and you can just push that pickup pin back into place. Okay, now if that pickup pin doesn't go down inside there and it actually breaks, now you either have to disassemble this, replace that pickup pin, which they're cheap. I carry a handful of them for that reason. Or what the other thing I like to do is I just carry several of these caps with pickup pins in them, so that all I have to do if that happens, I just spin this thing off, throw it in the bottom of the boat, grab me a new one and spin it on, and we're back to fishing. It's a lot quicker than changing out that pickup pin. Either way, you're not fishing during that time, right? You're missing fish. So that is definitely a drawback to the Muzzy. So like I said, you know, I'm gonna be realistic. I'm gonna be honest about every one of these. Not a single one of these do I think is perfect. I don't think there is a perfect reel. Okay, you have to ask yourself, what's going to meet your needs the best. Okay, so that's pretty much what I have to say, I think, about the Muzzy XD. This is the XD Pro. Okay, now Muzzy also has the XD, not the XD Pro. The Muzzy XD is exactly the same as this, except it does not come with the reel seat. Alright, you have to buy that reel seat extra. Now, let's talk about reel seats for a minute. You can get reel seats cheap. You can get them $14, $15, all the way up to $100 for a reel seat. Okay, again, it's what works best for you, for your finances. Your finances is one of the questions that I think every guy has to, gal, guy, whatever, that everybody has to ask themselves. What am I willing to, or what can I invest in the sport that I want to do, the sport that I love, right? And it's okay, whatever that is. There's nothing wrong with any of it. You just have to be honest with yourself about that, right? So if you do decide to go with this reel, another problem that I found, and that I find with a lot of reel seats, when I put this on my bow to begin with, and I started running it, it didn't take very long, and the screw right here that fastens it to the riser of the bow, this thing would start working sideways from, fighting fish or just from bouncing around, and it worked loose. Next thing you know, your reel's flopping down, right? And it seemed like no matter how hard I tightened that bolt, no matter what I did, I just could not get this thing to stay the way it was supposed to and not flop down. So what I did was, on both sides, right here and right here, I just ran a bead of weld down both sides right here. And then I had to grind it down just a little bit so that when this goes on here onto the riser, those beads of weld actually kind of cradle that riser just a little bit, and that keeps it from doing that. It can't come loose at that point. So I mean, I have a welder, heck, 30 seconds, right? So if you don't have a welder, you can get anybody to do that for you. Run to a weld shop. Hey, can you do this real quick? All right. This is stainless. I did this with normal welding, MIG welder. All right. We're not looking for strength here. We're just looking to build up a little ledge on both sides. So even though this is stainless, I get that. Don't worry about that. Run a bead of weld down there. You're good to go. All right. So again, there's a little bit of a drawback right there I found with this reel seat. Now also, this reel seat in the front, it does have a threaded area down here to put on a shoot-through rod. That is a drawback of the AMS bottle reel. There is no way to put a shoot-through rod on one of those. So shoot-through rods, when they kind of first came out, I thought they were kind of hokey. I wasn't sold on them when I seen it, but I can honestly tell you, shoot-through rods are awesome. If you're not familiar with what a shoot-through rod is, it's just a rod that comes out and then it curves up and then it curves forward, and the line actually goes through that rod. And what that does is it helps a couple things. It helps the line come straight out of the reel. But more than anything, what it does is when you got a fish on and you're fighting that fish, it puts the stress and the strain of that on that shoot-through rod and not the cap. That way you're not pulling on the cap and the pickup pins and the internals of the reel. It takes some of that pressure off the gears on the inside of this reel. So talking about gears inside of this reel, that is another sticking point of the Muzzy reels. I have personally never had any problems with them. Okay, a lot of guys that are, they're going out 2-3 times a week, they're shooting big fish. I'm talking 20, 30, 40 pound fish consistently all night, every night. Those guys are destroying the gears on the inside of these Muzzies. All right, I personally have never had that problem. Where I fish, if we're talking 10 to 20 pound fish typically, right? And I don't fish that many times a week. I shoot once, maybe twice a week. I hit maybe 2, maybe 3 tournaments a year. So I don't put that much time on these reels, so I haven't had a problem with them. Again, that's what I'm talking about here, guys. You have to figure out what works for you, right? This reel right here works for me because of my needs. There's a lot of guys that this reel is not working for because of their needs, okay? That's what makes this industry so great right now, is the options that's available. And we'll keep going here pretty quick, and we'll start talking about what those guys are getting into that they're super happy to have. But let's talk about the gears in this thing real quick. These came after time. They start getting loose on the inside. The gears on the inside, they have a lot of slop to them, and they'll start missing gears. The gears will start getting ratcheted out because the tolerances on those gears is too loose, and so those gears, instead of being meshed tight, they'll start being clear out here. And when they start getting clear out here, those gears will start, chipping and bending, and before you know it, you got nothing. You're reeling it, and there's just nothing there. The other thing that's really typical with these is the anti-reverse. So if you're not familiar with what that anti-reverse is, when you shoot the line out and you start reeling it in, you can't go backwards, okay? And you can already see this one, anti-reverse, is starting to go out of this a little bit. Not terrible, but if the anti-reverse goes out of these, then if you're not hanging on to the reel, that fish can just take off without, if you let go of the reel or whatever, or you can actually spin it backwards, right? So that is another thing with these Muzzy XDs and XD Pros. It was a problem. Now, those parts were not expensive to buy. You could buy those parts and you could rebuild these things pretty simply. Hold please. Okay, back at it. So yeah, Muzzy reel, it's got a lot of really good things. It's got some things that it can work on. Can't go wrong with it, I don't think, if you're realistic with yourself and what your needs are. So that is the Muzzy XD and the Muzzy XD Pro. Now, Muzzy also just came out with this guy right here. This is the Muzzy tournament reel. This guy has been up for a little bit of debate. Some guys have liked it, some guys have not liked it. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about this thing for a minute. Honestly, realistically, this thing is a lot like the XD and the XD Pro as far as the way it looks. First thing that you will notice is the cap. The cap is drastically different. It's got vents, holes all the way through, all the way around here. What that is for is so that you can lubricate your line on the inside. It is a good idea with these spinners to lubricate that line. Take you some WD-40, some kind of lubricant, and spray that line down. It just helps that line fly off the reel better. If your line's been sitting there and it gets dry, over the week or whatever, and then you go to shoot it, it can take you several times of shooting it to get that line freed up again. These holes allow for that to get down in there, where the other one you'd have to take the cap clear off in order to lubricate that line. So that's one little thing. It's not a huge deal, but it is something that Muzzy did. The thing that I like about it is this guy right here. They made the hole where the line comes out, they made that hole bigger. Put the two, you can see here, they probably made that thing 2 or 3 times bigger. Okay? What that does is it helps that line come out smoother, faster, less drag. So I like that. I think that's a good addition. I was really happy to see that. Also, it is a little bit taller. Not a lot, but it is just a little bit taller. Okay? Again, that's really helping that line come out with less drag. You're going to be getting more arrow speed. You know, just an overall better design. So this cap, they really kind of re-engineered this cap a little bit. I think it's great. The other thing that they did is on the other XD and XD Pro, there's only one pickup pin, and that pickup pin is basically plastic. It does have a little metal where the line actually rides on it, but the rest of the pin is all plastic. Again, that's what was breaking, is that plastic piece. On the tournament reel, they put 2 pickup pins in there, and those pickup pins are stainless, I believe. So you should not have the pickup pin breaking now, and there's 2 of them, so it's going to pick up that line quicker. You know, if that line is sitting over here and your pickup pin was over here, it's going to take it a second before it picks that line up when you're reeling. I don't think that's a big deal. But the other thing is, if you were somehow to break one of these, you got a second chance when the second one comes around to grab that line. So even if one does break, there's a backup. So 2 pickup pins, stainless steel, you know, little things. You know, they're addressing little things here, which is cool. The next thing is it's black. Whatever, they changed the color. That's cool. But the next thing that they did was they changed the handle. Now, I have not used this yet. I just got it not too long ago, and we're not fishing yet. Right out of the gate, I'm gonna say I'm not super excited about this handle. It's like it looks like carbon fiber, I think is what it is. I don't know if that's real carbon fiber or if that's just something that looks like carbon fiber, but I know these other reels, I beat the crap out of my stuff. Bottom of my boat, in my truck, I beat the crap out of my reels. And I have bent these handles just from beating the crap out of them so much. And what I'm afraid of, you know, if I bend one of these, it's not a big deal. I can just bend it back, right? This guy here, this carbon fiber, it's not going to bend. It's going to break. Now, I know carbon fiber is supposed to be super tough. I've never really dealt with it a whole lot. Jury is still out. Verdict is still out on this guy, on this handle. I really don't know what this is going to end up being like, so I can't speak intelligently to it. Heck, I can't speak intelligently to any of this. It's just my opinion, so keep that in mind as you're watching this. But they also did change the actual part that you hang on to. This is like a really hard foam material. Again, I'm not sure I'm super excited about this foam material because right now, right out of the box, this one right here, I don't know if you can see this or not on camera. Right here in this area, this foam is already ratcheted out a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to change the performance of it. But over time, I can just see this material getting beat up and really janky, where these other ones, this hard plastic, I mean, they hold up. You know, heck, I had my dog chew on one. I got one that's all chewed up from my dog, you know, and it's still good to go. So the other thing about this handle, and it's no different than the other ones, it's a double handle. On this one, I'm actually going to cut off one side of this and round it here. Just because, and I could have done it with the other ones, I just didn't. But what I end up having sometimes is the line gets wrapped around this handle, and it just causes a nightmare when that happens. You'll get going, you won't realize the line's wrapped around it, and you get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wraps of your line around this thing, and you're in trouble. And I'm hoping that by cutting one of these off, that's gonna help. It's not gonna eliminate, but I think it'll help reduce the number of times that line gets wrapped around there, because there'll just be less, there'll only be one of these instead of two to grab onto that line. So yeah, that's kind of the little handle setup there that they got. A little bit of a change there. Now, another thing that I don't like about this reel. This right here. They do not offer this reel, the tournament reel, with a built-in reel seat. You have to buy the reel seat extra. Oh, on that note, this reel right here, the Muzzy tournament reel, $100. Okay? I'm not going to say whether I think it's worth $100 or not worth $100. I'm not going to get into that. But this reel is $100. The other reels, the XD Pro, $75. All right, that's $25 difference. Is there $25 worth of difference here? Maybe. There's some other things going on inside of here that we'll talk about in a minute. Maybe there's $25 worth of difference, but not minus a reel seat. I can tell you why they did that. Because Muzzy also came out with their own reel seat. That reel seat is a pretty awesome reel seat, I'm not going to lie. But that reel seat, as far as I'm concerned, is geared towards tournament bow fishermen who, that reel seat, I don't have one here. It has a cam lock on it. So you can flip this cam lock and you can remove the reel and put on a new reel. If anything happens to your reel, it's a real quick change out, right? Well, most guys aren't changing out their reel that frequently, right? Tournament guys, absolutely. Tournament guys change out their reels a lot. So I felt like they were kind of backing us into a corner. Like, here's our new reel that's $25 more. Oh, and by the way, here's our $56 reel seat. Not going to say it's not an awesome reel seat. It's an awesome reel seat. Their new reel seat, it addresses the issue that I talked about with this guy. I ran the beads of weld down both sides of this, remember? Their new reel seat addresses that. Their new reel seat, it encompasses the bow riser, okay? So it addresses that issue. I think that's great that they did that. Also, like I said, it's got that cam lock, makes it a lot easier to take those reels on and off, and if you need to work on them or replace them, whatever, right? But now we're up to about $160 if you buy that setup. Now, like I said, there's lots of options out there, guys. That's what's great about the bow fishing world right now. You can buy a reel seat for $15. It's not going to be the greatest in the world. It's probably going to end up spinning on you. It's going to start getting loose. I've got a couple of them, those cheap ones. The threads in those reel seats, not the greatest. The threads are really spaced out, and so those threads come loose pretty easy. So you're constantly, worrying about checking that your reel isn't coming loose, right? But they're out there. So you can buy a reel seat, like I've said, from $15 all the way up to $100. It's just what you want to do. So that's another drawback that I see to this reel is I really feel like Muzzy should have done a solid and put that reel seat on here like they did the other one. I'm a little disappointed that they did that. Now, me being me, what I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to grind out the rivets that hold this reel seat on. I think I'm going to grind those rivets out and remove this reel seat from this reel. And it has the same thing on this cleat right here. It has the same exact setup, right? It's just they put this cleat on there instead of the reel seat. I'm going to grind those out, and then I'm just going to put little bolts. I'm going to nut and bolt this tournament reel to the XD Pro reel seat. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. I think that's going to be pretty quick and easy for me. That's just me being cheap. There is a reel seat that I got my eye on that I really like. I think it's $100, and I just, for me, again, I'm being realistic about my needs, my, bow fishing time that I spend. I can't see spending $100 on a reel seat, not right now. Maybe if I was getting into a tournament series, I might go ahead and spend that money, but not. I just don't think it's worth it for me. There's other guys out there that it absolutely is. They might have the extra money to spend, or they might be in those tournaments. So, you got to answer those questions for yourself. The next thing that's good about this Muzzy, I'm not going to sit here and say that this thing is all bad, because it's not. This thing has good and bad. I'm excited to have it. Don't get me wrong. The next thing that Muzzy did address that I'm super proud of them, I talked about how the internals, the gears in these other Muzzies had problems. It was loose inside of there. You actually had to put shims on the inside and basically rebuild them in order to make them the tolerances tighter so that those gears would mesh better, right? They addressed that. The tolerances in these, you're not going to have that issue. Tolerances are better, so that's good. They addressed that. Other thing that they addressed, I talked about the anti-reverse. There's actually a claw inside of those that when that reel starts to go backwards, that claw drops down and it keeps those gears from going backwards. And that claw is what would give you problems. Is that claw would either get bent off to the side, break, whatever the case may be, right? If you look on the inside of this reel here, I'm not going to open it up, I'll just explain it. There is no anti-reverse arm. I think that's what it's called, is an anti-reverse arm, something like that, in this. What they did, and I think this is pretty cool, I'd actually like to tear this thing apart and check it out. They put a one-way bearing on the inside of here so that that bearing only goes one way. And if a fish is pulling against the line and you let go of the reel, that bearing, it won't allow the reel to go the other way. So I don't know what a one-way bearing looks like. I'm kind of interested to see what that looks like. But they incorporated that into this reel. I think that makes it simple. That adds simplicity to this, which I'm all about. Anybody that knows me, I'm old school. I cannot stand overcomplicating things. I can't stand these new cars that we drive that's all computerized and all this nonsense. It's unnecessary for very little gain as far as I'm concerned. And so I think Muzzy did an awesome thing right there. They added simplicity to this and made it better. So good on them for that. Now, I don't know. Some of you guys might be, what in the world is that? That's just me messing around. This wire right here. I did a video of what that is. I was just messing around, and I put lights on the inside of this thing. I've caught a little bit of flack for that. I'll get into that in a minute, but I thought that'd be pretty cool. Put lights on the inside of there. This is actually still a work in progress. This is my battery pack. This is actually a Kydex holder that I molded to the battery. It's not finished yet, but what I was planning on doing was mounting this to my bow riser somewhere. This battery, by the way, has been running this light for well over 24 hours. So pretty impressed with how long this battery's lasting. But like I talked about, this battery's a little heavy in my last video. This battery's a little bit heavy. I'm not sure I want to carry this around on my boat all night long. I got another idea that it's in the mail. It's on the way to fix that problem. But if you're wondering what that is all about, that is not a stock situation right there. That's just me. Like I said, I don't shoot a lot of fish. I don't consider myself a professional, so since I'm not a professional, I gotta look cool. I don't know what to tell you. Deal with it. So anyhow, that is pretty much, I think, all I have on this Muzzy tournament reel. I am excited to have it. I did not buy this. I've had a lot of guys say, why buy that reel? Why not buy this other reel? I'm going to get into what they're talking about here in a minute. Reason I bought this ultimately is because I got a gift card to Bass Pro for Christmas, $100, and I wanted to see what this thing was all about. So that's really the reason I actually even have this. But I am excited to have it. I am excited to try it out, see the new things that it has to offer. So that's the Muzzy tournament reel. Now, the one everybody wants to know about. This bad boy right here. The new Megamouth. I say new, it's not really new. This thing's been out for a couple years now, I think. This thing, again, I'm going to talk about pros and I'm going to talk about cons with this. Now, I'm probably not going to talk super intelligently about it because, quite frankly, this hasn't even been on a bow yet. This is my son's. Again, the only reason that I have this in my hands right now is because we won this in a tournament. I would not have this, my son would not have this if we had not won it. Reason for that, it's $300. Okay? The Megamouth is $299. I am not going to tell you that it's not worth that. I think it probably is worth that. It's not worth that to me personally. If you're that tournament guy that's out there constantly beating the crap out of these things, hauling in 25, 30, 40, 50 pound fish, this is the reel for you. 100%. Okay? This thing is a beast. Inside and out. No question about it. And what do you get for that $300? You get a fully thought out, high-tech reel. Okay, we'll get into a few of the things there. You get the reel seat, comes with it. Also comes with Picatinny rails. Okay. You can mount other things on this if you want. If you want to put a flashlight, some guys, you know, if you're shooting from the bank, you can put a flashlight, mount a flashlight to this guy. Heck, mount a freaking laser. I don't know. You know, you can do lots of things with this. The other thing, this is something that nobody else is doing. It comes with a shoot-through rod. Shoot-through rod's something I talked about a little bit, but I didn't talk about their price point. The TJE shoot-through rod, which is, there's a couple of shoot-through rods on the market. I think the TJE is probably one of the better ones. It's about 25 bucks. I'm not saying whether that's good or bad, but what I'm going to say is that's an extra $25 that you got to spend if you want to put that shoot-through rod on there, that you got to spend if you buy these other reels. You know, you buy that Muzzy tournament reel, and then you buy the Muzzy Camlock reel seat. Now you're into that Muzzy for 160 bucks, 165 bucks, I think. something like that, then you're probably going to want to put a shoot-through rod on it. So there's another 25 bucks. By the time you're said and done, you know, taxes, shipping, whatever, you're pretty close to $200 for that setup there. Okay? Now this guy here is still $100 more than that. If you went with that setup, this is still $100 more. Okay? Well, it might be worth that to some guys. It's not worth it to me. I'm not that guy. I'm not shooting, you know, that much, pulling in that big a fish to where I want to shoot this particular reel. Glad to have it. I'm super happy that my son has this. But let's talk about the reel. First thing, the Mega Mouth, right? I mean, when I first saw this thing hit the market and I saw that right there, how wide that mouth is, I was like, that's cool. Again, just like the Muzzy tournament, that bigger mouth is just going to let that line come out so free, right? You're going to get more arrow speed. You're going to be more accurate. That huge opening is really, really cool. Then the internals of this thing, the gears and everything on the inside of this are bulletproof. I mean, these things you could hook onto a tank with this and get that thing in the boat and not have to worry about gears stripping out, about, you know, spacing issues. Mega Mouth went above and beyond when they designed this, 100%. Okay. Now, the next thing about the Mega Mouth is this little guy right here. All right. The other reels, the other spinner reels had either the push button, right, or that little lever that you flipped side to side. The Mega Mouth, this is free spooling. This is free spooling all the time. Okay. Right up into the point where you pull this. Well, I don't have it. Anyhow, it would, if I had it attached to the bow. I probably don't have the tension set on it. Actually, that might be what it is. Yeah, there we go. When you pull that, that's how you engage to pull the line in. Okay? So that is right there. That's a really cool system to have that handle on there. So that way you never have to worry about forgetting to flip the button, push the button, dance in a little circle or whatever, right? That eliminates that issue of that and either breaking a pickup pin or losing an arrow or whatever, right? So that handle right there, pretty awesome. The other thing on the Mega Mouth is this guy right here, this handle. This handle is, man, this thing is beefy. I mean, it's made out of metal. It's got this big handle that's made out of metal. And man, you're not going to have a problem finding that, you know, when you're going to grab it. It's going to be right there. It's going to be solid. Just like the rest of this whole thing, man, it's going to be solid, bulletproof. I don't see a lot of problems with this. I haven't heard a lot of guys having problems with it. Like I said, I haven't used it yet. My son hasn't used it, but I don't foresee there being any issues with this. Now, I forgot when I started this video, I was going to bring my scale up here and I was going to weigh this thing. I was watching the videos from Mega Mouth the other day, and one of the things that I've always said about the Mega Mouth without even touching one that thing's got to weigh a ton. Just by looking at it, this thing looks like it weighs a ton. And I can tell you, I'm sitting here holding my wrist, right? This thing is not light, okay? But when I went to the Megamouth website, they have some videos on YouTube and their website that specifically talk about that. It specifically talks about the weight of this, and it's kind of contradictory. Is that the right word? It's not the same information that is on. I went to a website, like I was going to buy one of these. I wanted to see what the website says the weight was, in the description. And the weight, and I'm not going to tell you what the weight it said it was, but I believe it. And it's considerably more than what the Megamouth website and videos showed. I'm not going to call anybody a liar because I wish I brought my scale with me. I might do that here. I might run down to the shop, get my scale. At the end of this video, I might go ahead and weigh this thing and weigh the other ones and show you what the weights are. I think I will do that. So at the end of this video, hold tight if you want to see that. But I'm telling you, just from sitting here holding this thing, just this thing's got some weight to it. I'm not sure I want to hold on to this thing all night long hanging off the front of my bow. I could be wrong. Megamouth says it weighs basically the same as every other reel. It's hard to tell. The only difference that we're going to have with these two, as far as weight goes, this one has the shoot-through rod on it. I don't have a shoot-through rod hanging off the front of this one. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to weigh these two together. I'll grab a shoot-through rod also to make it more apples to apples. I don't want to skew anything. I'm not looking to throw anybody under the bus. I'm not looking to make anyone look bad. I'm not into that, right? Again, I think all these brands, all these reels are awesome. So don't get me wrong in anything that I'm saying. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm not talking bad. I'm talking pros and cons, guys. That's it, pros and cons. So, so yeah, this is the Megamouth, guys. Thing's a beast. I'm excited to get this on my son's bow. Just got him a Oneida, and he is super excited to get out and start shooting that thing. He's been shooting the AMS, I think it's Fishhawk, for several years now, and that kid's killed a lot of fish with that. But finally spent the money, got him the new bow, and he's ready to get out on the water and put this thing to the test. So anyhow, so like I said, what is the best bow fishing reel? That's the question, right? What's the best bow fishing reel? That's for you to answer. That's not for me to answer. That's not for anybody else to answer. Because you got to ask yourself all these questions first. How much money do I want to spend? How much time am I going to spend on the water? What size of fish am I going to be hauling in? What types of things am I willing to put up with? Am I able to do a little bit of maintenance on one of these reels? If something breaks, am I capable of jumping in there and fixing that real quick? Or do I need something that's more bulletproof that I don't necessarily have to fix? Several questions there that only you can answer. But at the end of the day, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these. So that is the answer to the ultimate question. What is the best bow fishing reel? It's whatever you decide. that is the best bow fishing reel for you. And don't let anybody tell you different. Guys give other guys a lot of crap about stuff. I was going to talk about that real quick. I caught a little bit of flack for putting lights on the inside of this. Oh, looks like a wannabe megamouth. Why? Something I didn't talk about. I'll do it real quick. On the inside of the megamouth reel, there is LEDs. You know what? I'm not going to show you because I don't even, well, all right. And I can't get the cap off. All right. So, like I said, I'm not real super familiar with this. I'm sure this cap comes off easier than that. I haven't figured it out. What I was trying to get at is there is actually LEDs on the inside here. I don't know if you can see them. They're those little yellow deals. There's 3 of them, right? And they light up. Megamouth come out with that from day one. Had the light up inside there. They look really cool. I can't even figure out how to get the stupid things turned on, number one. They're kind of awkward to get in there and get them turned on. I did turn them on one time. I think it's, there. You push down on them. There. I got one lit up. You kind of see it. I got one lit up there. So, there we go. You got to push down on them. There. You reach in, you push down on them, and there you go. They're lit up. These are little, they're like a bobber LED. You can put these little LEDs inside of a bobber at night if you're fishing at night. That's kind of what those are. I've been told they only last, I don't know, a few hours. They don't last very long, and then you have to replace them. I think it's like $20 for 3 of them, and they don't last very long. So I'm not super thrilled about the LED setup inside of these. I think it was something Megamouth did just kind of for fun. I don't think they really intended it to be that big of a deal, but it does look cool. I think it looks cool as, cool as crap. So I wanted to go ahead and do that on my Muzzy. Again, I caught a little bit of flack, not a lot. I had really good response to this. A lot of guys thought that was really cool. I'm going to continue to refine this a little bit, and had a lot of guys asking questions, and I maybe going ahead and trying to do that on their bow. But yeah, Megamouth came out with it first. Not trying to rip them off. I just thought it looked really cool, to have that light coming out through those holes, which it does. And I wanted to improve on their setup where you got these little lights that are kind of awkward to turn on and off, and they don't last very long. Setup I got, it's easy, quick disconnect, good to go. And I'm going to put rechargeable batteries on here, so I never have to replace the LEDs inside here. That's all I'm going to say about that. But that was just one other thing about the Megamouth that I forgot to talk about. So all in all, bottom line was best bow fishing reel on the market is what you decide. So that's what I got for now. I'm going to run down to the shop. I'm going to get my scale. I'm going to weigh these out. I'll do that on camera so you guys can see it. Anyhow, thanks a lot for joining me, guys. Please like, subscribe, share my channel. Subscriptions are super needed right now. I'm trying to put out some content that guys are wanting to see. I'm starting to kind of understand a little bit what what guys actually want to see, and you know, the number of views and subscriptions is starting to help me understand that. So guys, give me some comments, talk to me, tell me what you think, tell me what you want to see, tell me what you don't want to see. Help me learn. I'm not sitting here saying that I know everything. Like I said, I'm a master in none of this. These are just my opinions. If you got information that you think would be helpful for me, I'm an open book. I want to learn from you guys. That's one of the big reasons that I like doing this YouTube channel, is so that I can interact with other people. I've met some really cool guys that have taught me a lot through YouTube. So please hit me up if you have questions, or if you want to tell me something. If you want to tell me to shut my mouth, that's fine too. I don't care. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Let's go get this scale. All right, guys, so real quick, went ahead and did my test, and first off, I tested the AMS bottle reel. I was really surprised. This thing came in under a pound. That was not what I was expecting. I figured it would weigh at least a pound, but it was 0.8 something. Thought that was pretty interesting. The only thing about this one is it does not have a shoot-through rod, so it wasn't really comparing apples to apples. That wasn't really my intention with weighing this one. Just wanted to see what it weighed, kind of throw that out there. So you guys know what this one's all about. These guys here, you know, the Megamouth and the Muzzy, head-to-head, I got to hand it to Megamouth. Their numbers that they put on their website were identical to the numbers that I got when I weighed these with my scale. I thought there might even be a little bit of difference, you know, just because of different scales. I think they were exactly identical, to be honest with you. So hand it to Megamouth for that. And also, you know, the difference in weight in these two reels, yes, the Megamouth is a little bit heavier. Not a lot though. I mean, honestly, it's not a lot heavier. And what you know, the way this thing is built, just so beefy. Everything is metal. Everything is, you know, just more rugged. You know, I would expect it to weigh a little bit more. So honestly, you know, that little bit of extra weight, you know, if you're that guy that needs this beefy tank of a reel, you know, that little bit of extra weight, man, I would expect that. So good on Megamouth for keeping it as light as they possibly could. That little bit of extra weight doesn't concern me at all. I don't think that would deter me, the weight anyways, from buying this thing. So yeah, anyhow, wanted to throw that out at the end of the video so we could do that head-to-head weight comparison, and it was exactly what I saw online. So you guys can check that all out. But for anybody that says, you know, the Megamouth weighs so much more than all the other reels, that's not the case. And it made a liar out of me because I was that guy that thought that. So good on Megamouth for that. So thanks for watching, guys.